Howdy folks, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a long video and I have a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just jump right into it. Hiya Toys, you have been creeping up on us, my friends. Not only have you returned to complete the Lost Tribe from Predator 2, and we all knew you were going to do that, but you also went ahead and took a page out of NECA's book and did a version 2, a 2.0 of Elder Predator, with a different paint scheme. Now granted, version 1 was more movie accurate, but version 2 obviously is probably the cooler looking alternative, right? Kind of like with the NECA stuff. But not only that, you went ahead and did variants for a lot of jungle hunters. I mean, now we have Water Emergence Predator, an invisible cloaked version, and the whole 9 yards. But then, my friends, you went and did the thing Alien Predator collectors want the most. Figures from the 2010 Predators film. I gotta tell you, my years being in this community, that film is the most requested as far as collectibles go. We had the Hot Toy stuff, we had the NECA stuff long ago, probably like a decade now. And we get some pieces, collectibles here and there from the film, but nothing as extensive as what NECA did or Hot Toys, or apparently what Hiya Toys is doing now. So thank you, Hiya Toys. I don't know if anybody is watching that works at that company, but if you are, thank you for finally catering to that movie, because that is such a requested film and has some of the coolest looking designs. So with that said, let's jump into it. Jumping in, let's talk about the big man himself, Berserker Predator, specifically the masked version. I got a picture right here on my phone. So he's estimated for a release of May 2020, which isn't too far off. I'm filming this on January 29th, 2020, and he is going to be priced at 20 bucks, and he's going to be 4.5 inches tall. Now these figures, in case you're not familiar with Hiya Toys, they're all 1/18th scale. So roughly 4.5 to 5 inches depending on the character you get. And the Marines are much smaller, obviously. But this Berserker Predator, he looks really cool. He really does. It's one of those cases where you definitely get more than what you paid for. You paid 20 bucks, and granted you get a small figure, but the amount of detail they're able to put in these Predators is really well done. I mean, just look at the skin patterns and all the color palettes they use, all the paint apps. It's so well done. They even have carvings and engravings on the biomask, which again is really hard to do on a figure of this size. It's just a really well done piece. And I love the sculpt. Everything looks proportionate. From my point of view, I mean, we'll have a better look at it once we have it in hand, but he looks really impressive. He definitely does. He does come with a set of, I believe, 3 skulls. One of them in the picture is not shown explicitly, but it looks like an alien skull from Predator 2. And of course he does come with his designated wrist blade, particularly the long version, kind of like what the NECA ones did. Although with the NECA ones they did do a couple that had the short ones. But very much looking forward to this figure. Definitely one of my favorite Predators of all time. I think I like him even a little bit more than City Hunter, and a little bit more than Wolf, which is saying a lot. So, again, May 2020, don't miss out on this one. But if you have a very particular taste, they are doing a variant of Berserker, the Unmasked version. And for the most part, he looks like the same figure. I'm trying to identify if the skin patterns or the colors are any different. It doesn't look like it, and he does come with the same extended long wrist blade. But man, that head sculpt looks very impressive. I've seen a lot of companies do Berserker over the years, over the last decade or so, and it's a really tough character to get. He has really odd proportions to his face, and he has kind of like an uncanny valley type of look to him, and I think they captured it well enough with what they had to work with, this being a 4.5 inch figure, and the skin detail, the color patterns and all that, they look okay. I don't really have any complaints here. I'm thinking there might be a little bit too much red on his head, but again, you get what you pay for and even more. So there's not a whole lot else I can say about this one other than the unmasked head. And it's one of those cases where it's preference. Do you want it masked or do you want it unmasked? Now, granted, I think it would have been better if they had just included alternate head sculpts on one figure, because I definitely want both of these, and it kind of sucks that I gotta, buy two separate figures. But don't I do that already with the NECA stuff, right? But that's okay. And he is also priced at $20, but he's releasing November 2020, so you gotta wait a little bit longer for this figure. He's way down the line this year. So, again, I'm looking forward to it. A good head sculpt and a sweet variant. Moving down the line of Super Predators, we are getting Falconer Predator. He definitely has a cult following in the Predator community. He's a very, very unique looking Predator. His biomass specifically, he has this mix of samurai and just weirdness to him. And I think that's what made him one of the more likable characters in Predators, even if he didn't take off his biomask. And that's also the reason I think a lot of people like this particular Predator, and the same goes for me. If his mask looks that sleek, that weird, that samurai-esque, what does he look like under the mask? He must look really, really creepy, right? Even more so than Berserker, and Berserker is kind of weird looking. So, as far as the rest of the figure goes, he looks pretty gosh darn good. I definitely like the armor pieces. A lot of detail went into the weathering, even on the straps connecting the armor pieces. And that's one of those things where they didn't have to do that for such a small figure, but they went ahead and did, and I think that's what adds to why this figure looks so good for a $20 price point too. And let's see what he comes with as far as skulls go, because he does come with the extended wrist blade, which I'm also fine with. And I mean, the toy photography they did, you can put him in a lot of neat poses. He's very agile. He should be, considering he is kind of like the samurai of the Predators. And from what I can tell, he comes with one skull, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check in the description here. So 4.5 inches made of plastic from the film Predators. It just says he comes with alien skulls. So, I don't know what that means. He could come with a couple, or he can just come with one. Some of the Lost Tribe came with one skull or three, so we don't know. But, again, if you are a fan of the 2010 film like me, I'm a big fan of that film, you need this. You definitely need this. So, and they're getting to have NECA run for their money too. I mean, if they don't pull off Super Predators at Toy Fair, they're in big trouble. Then Hiya Toys is going to be running the streets completely, you know? But now that we're done with Falconer, let's move on to Tracker, one of my favorite Predators as well. As a kid, when I saw this movie, I was young at the time. I don't remember how old I was, 10, 11-ish? Tracker stood out to me because of the alien tusks that he mounted to his biomass, kind of like what Berserker did with the alien jaw as well, or the Predator jaw, whatever you want to name it as. And what's really cool about this figure is they even engraved the scar on his, I believe it's his left eye, which is hard to do, again, on a figure this small. So I'm very, very happy with it. It looks really impressive. A lot of detail went onto the biomask, and they put a lot of shading on those tusks and everything, even on the wrapping around the tusks. And much like the previous ones we looked at, the armor looks very well done. He has double jointed knees, elbows, and even I think he does have a waist joint, if I'm not mistaken. Usually Hiya Toys does. Yeah, he has a waist joint too. So he looks very impressive. He definitely does. And what's cool, they got him posed with two Predator Hounds. Now, that's a good transition, because we're about to talk about those, and we'll get there in a second. But this guy has a slated release for August 2020, a little bit down the road. Okay, no big deal. And he is priced at 20 bucks. So, let's check out those Predator Hounds now. Also slated for August 2020, we are getting a Predator Hound. and it looks good. There's not a whole lot to say about this. I mean, it looks movie accurate, and the paint is very well done. I really like the amount of detail they put in the skin's texture. It looks almost cracked and stuff like that. It's very interesting, and again, lots of shading went into all those spikes, and there are a million spikes on this one. What I hope is they kind of fix what NECA did with this figure. On the NECA version of the Hounds, the spikes, particularly at the back of the neck, were very, very pliable, a little too pliable, and so over time they would warp. And I hope with this they're going to be a hard plastic and not a soft plastic, like what NECA did. Mine, they're not too bad from what I can tell, just a little bit, but I hope that these are hard plastic and they actually stay in place. And it looks like they do, but we will see. And of course they do have them in pairs. You cannot buy them like in a 2-pack, you do have to buy them separately, and I'll probably buy a couple of them. I kind of missed out on doing that with the NECA one, so it's a good time to catch up. And as I said, August 2020 with a price tag of $20. I think that all of these are $20 from what I can tell. So, and they're again 1/18 scale. Obviously, they're going to be a lot shorter than your Predators, but they're still going to be. It looks like they'll be in scale from what I can tell, based off the picture with Tracker and what I saw from the movie. So. Let's move on. To finish off the 2010 Predators film is a figure I thought I would never, ever see. A crucified Predator. Oh man, I did not expect this at all. I did not. Not even NECA thought of doing that one. Granted, they did do technically a crucified Predator, but he had all his armor on after Royce released him. But this one is practically naked right off the cross, and he looks good. I mean, he's covered in green blood. I like the head sculpt. It's obviously based off the classic Jungle Hunter with some minor differences, and he looks good. I mean, there's only 2 pictures available of this, but I definitely want him just as a completionist to have that version of the character on the shelf. However, what I think they should have done with this figure is included the cross itself. If you remember from the 2010 Predators movie, they had really interesting set designs, particularly in that crucifixion section with like alien skulls everywhere, human skulls, and he's tied up on this thing, and man, it was a really interesting, they had really interesting set pieces. So I wish they would have included the cross. I think that would have blown this figure out of the water completely, but I'm just happy we're getting this version of the character in general. Because again, as a completionist, that's one of the few we're missing, right? And so, he is slated for a November 2020 release date, so you got a little time. And he's priced at $20, and let's see what he includes. Oh, I guess that's it. Yeah, so you don't get any skulls or anything, you just get a plain old crucified Predator. And I'm okay with it, you know. Of course, I think they should have included a little bit more, but I'm not really going to lose sleep over it. And that should cover all the 2010 stuff. So, before we head into the Predator 2 stuff, I want to stop by and look at all those variants of Jungle Hunter, because there's a couple I do want to talk about. So, let's jump into it. So in case you guys don't know, Hiya Toys has been releasing Predator figures for a while now, right? And one of them was, of course, Jungle Hunter. I think that was actually probably, I don't know if it was one of their first ones. It may have actually been recent. But it's definitely one of the main Predator. They had to make it. And so why not return to Jungle Hunter? He's a fan favorite, and he's a classic from the '87 movie. So we're going to talk about the battle-damaged variant that they're making. Slated for August 2020, much like the rest, at $20, you get an unmasked, open mandibles, battle-damaged Jungle Hunter with a little bit of blood on him. And he looks good. You do get Billy's skull, and from what I can tell, I think you actually get some guts or some googies, blah blah blah, gore, something on the skull and spine, from what I can tell, and it's covered in blood. And he looks good. He really does look good. I like the weathering they did on the armor. The blood is nice and vibrant. What I like about the blood is how bright it is. In on a lot of the NECA stuff, when they do blood, I mean, it's pretty bright green, but not to the extent of what they're doing. Because if you return to the movie, basically what they did is they used the materials from glow sticks, green glow sticks, and it was very vibrant, very green, almost like it was pulsing a color or something on the leaves or on the ground or whatever, and on the Predator too. So that looks really cool. And of course you do get the skull accessories wrapped around his body, and the wrist blades and all that. I'm a little worried about the wrist blades. They already look warped and out of place, even on the product photos. So we'll see. But again, it's a $20 figure, so I guess you can't really go wrong. But I'm very much looking forward to this. I have more than a few battle damaged jungle hunters. I think I'll probably pick this one up just because I'm already picking up so much Hiya Toys stuff, and I'm jumping on the bandwagon, if you will. So I will probably get it. Yeah, just keep in mind you don't get a biomask or an alternate head like with closed mandibles. This is basically him versus Dutch for the first time when he takes off the biomask. And I'm wondering if you can remove the plasma caster so you can recreate that moment where he's like roaring at him. But I don't know. For people who do own the previous Jungle Hunter, I've yet to buy it. Let me know if you can remove the plasma caster, because I do not know. But let's look at those other variants now. Moving on, we have Water Emergence Jungle Hunter. Pretty much one of my favorite versions of this character. I remember watching the movie as a kid when he's coming out of the water and he's like in this weird transition of cloaked and not cloaked at the same time. It's one of the coolest moments ever, and it really showed what special effects could do in 1987, and it still holds up to this day. Absolutely. So I am thrilled that they are doing Water Emergence Predator. I really, really am. NECA did one, and that's a fantastic piece, and I think he does go for some money, because I mean, why wouldn't he? So flippin' unique, and I hope he's re-released in the future. But this figure looks incredible. They're obviously using translucent plastic. They have all of those electricity and white stripes kind of all over his body and on the armor. It's so unique looking. Even the biomask has a tint of translucency too. So good looking. The dreadlocks, of course, the plasma caster, all coated in translucent plastic. And I mean, yeah, you do get the same accessory as the last one, the skull and spine, which doesn't really make sense for this character, right? I mean, he didn't hold anything when he was getting out of the water, but I get it. They had to include something, so I'll take it. You know, more bloody skulls, the better. And again, slated for August 2020 at $20. So I think this is an easy buy for a lot of Predator collectors, because again, that scene was one of my favorites ever. Still is to this day. It's amazing. So they're finally doing that version some justice, even after NECA did it. And again, that's the reason probably why they're doing this, because that figure from NECA goes for so much money now, so hard to get, and we all hope they'll re-release it in the future, but we don't know. It's probably a fat chance that they will, maybe on some anniversary or something, but we will see. So with that said, let's move on to the last variant of Jungle Hunter, which is something we all kind of expected, which is an invisible version, a cloaked version. And there's not a ton to say about this one. I mean, he is completely translucent, and oh wow, that is interesting. This one actually doesn't have a biomask. That is weird. That is very odd. I mean, typically when you have a cloaked Predator, they have a biomask on, because that's how it works. They need all their tech on them to cloak themselves, but this one doesn't. He just has the open mandibles, which is kind of weird. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. That's odd. And also the skull and spine is translucent too. Doesn't make sense, but I like it. It looks cool. I don't have a translucent skull and spine in the Predator collection, from what I can tell. So I dig that. But I think, man, I hope they... Well, do they at least include... let's see, fully posable, invisible version. No, I guess they don't include a biomask. Oh, well, it's like a $20 figure, though. It's okay. I can live with it. So, I don't know if that'll be that'll determine if you'll get this figure or not. I kind of want it. I do, even if it should have come with a biomask. But all right, yeah, August 2020, $20. So let me know if you're going to be picking this one up. He looks really cool. Granted, you can see a couple of the joints like yellowed out or something in like the knees and the ankles and stuff, but it's not too bad. Again, for a figure this small, it's understandable. But there we go. That should finish all of the Jungle Hunters. So far, I'm probably picking up most of this stuff because I'm insane. But I don't know if that'll be the case, people out there. I missed out on a lot of Hiya toys, and I'm catching up, and so I really want to... obviously, I want to complete the Lost Tribe, and I want to get all the 2010 Predator stuff, but as many Jungle Hunters as I have, it's... I'm thinking about it. I'm really thinking about it. Should I get the Jungle Hunter stuff? Should I? I know I'm getting water emergence, but battle damaged, cloaked... I mean, I'm insane, so I'll probably get it. I just want to look like I'm thinking about it, whereas deep down my subconscious is saying, you're gonna get it, bitch. You crazy bitch. Alrighty, folks, let's jump into some Predator 2 action. We're getting some re-releases that are a re-release and aren't at the same time. One of which would be Guardian Predator. We technically already own a Guardian Predator, right? Kind of like how we already own an Elder Predator. But A, they're re-releasing it for people who may have missed out on the previous ones, and B, they're making minor changes. So if you look at Guardian Predator, he obviously, for the most part, looks the same as the original, right? But there are some color differences and some pieces added to him. So if you look closely, he does have the satchel now, attached to his body with the strap and all. Okay, that's fine. But the color, I think, is the biggest difference, at least when I'm comparing this to mine. Mine has a much lighter color palette, right? He's more so beige, and his armor isn't as vibrant as this one's. This one's color palette has very, very shiny gunmetal to his armor, to the biomask, and his skin has a lot more shading, and it's a lot grittier. I consider this kind of like the film noir version of Guardian Predator. And again, if you missed out on Guardian, this is your chance to pick him up if you're not able to get the other one. I don't know if the other one's unavailable now or what's going on, but I'll be honest, this one definitely looks better than the original, even if the original was meant to be more movie accurate. Kind of like with Elder Predator, which I'll get to in a moment. So this is definitely an interesting addition to the collection. And he's cool looking. He's just cool looking, plain and simple. You do get the standard display stand with the Lost Tribe members. You know, the little rectangle things that have sculpted rock on them, and you can connect all the bases together to create a platform. He does come with 4 pairs of interchangeable hands, an extended combi stick, and a smart disc, which is a pain in the ass to put in the holster. I gotta tell you, good luck with those. I have a couple of Lost Predators with the smart discs. Good luck, folks. It's a pain in the ass. But this guy is slated for January, which, I mean, is January right now, so you should expect him within the next couple of weeks. I don't really see Hiya Toys delaying this figure, but I guess anything's possible. And with that said, let us move into Elder Predator, who is, I mean, they're kind of taking the Greyback name seriously with this one. So, the first Elder Predator they did was basically 100% movie accurate for the most part, right? You can only do so much with a 4.5-inch figure. But the color was correct, because in Predator 2, at the ending, he had that beige color scheme, right? Kind of like Ahab Predator. With this one, they essentially took the version 2 of NECA's Elder Predator, which was literally all gray, right, and kind of shiny and glimmery and all that, and they scaled it down. And now we have this one, version 2. So it's kind of up to you, right? It's a preference. If you already own the Elder Predator, chances are you'll probably stick with that one. But if you don't own it and you need one to complete the Lost Tribe, you can either get the movie accurate one or this really shiny gray one. And I'll admit, the gray one looks cool. It's one of those cases where it probably looks cooler than the movie version, or the color accurate one. I don't know if I'll get this one. I kind of want it. I do. But he has a lot going on for him. He pretty much comes with all the same stuff as the original, but a lot of, you got a lot of necklaces, you got a lot of, obviously you get the flintlock pistol, the extended combi stick, and the whole 9 yards. Elder Predator, he's really beefed up. He's been on the streets for a while, right? He's on the older side, so he has a lot of trophies, he has a lot of beads in his dreadlocks, and a lot of earrings, and all this crazy stuff on his mandible. So a lot of work went into this figure, and he's slated for May 2020, so you got a little ways away, and for 20 bucks, just like the rest. For product features, I want to go over a couple of things. So you get, obviously, again, the wrist blades, you get the combi stick, and a single alien skull, which is shown in one of the pictures here. And as far as description goes, all it says is updated version of the Elder Predator. So, there you go. Again, it's up to you if you want this one, which is not as movie accurate, or if you want the movie accurate one, right? Or if you're a completionist like me, you want both because you're crazy. That's that, okay? So, I think that's all I can say about Elder Predator. And with that said, let's move on to the final figure of this video, because we're pushing 40 minutes already. Let's end this already, because I have a dry throat right now and I need to use the bathroom. Last on the list is the re-release of Ghost Predator, otherwise known as City Hunter Predator. I already own City Hunter, so obviously I wouldn't need to pick this up, but if you missed out on him, if he's sold out, I don't know if he is, now's your chance to pick him up. From what I can tell, there are no changes to this figure, just popular demand, and I understand why. City Hunter is definitely one of the cooler Predators, and of course he's one of the main players in the Predator franchise, right? I mean, you have Jungle Hunter, you have him, you have Wolf Predator, Berserker. Those are your main ones, right? If we're just talking about the movies. So, it would make sense that they would return to Ghost Predator, City Hunter Predator, whatever you want to call it. And he comes with all the same stuff. I mean, you have your wrist blades, you have your combi stick, and all that. 4 interchangeable hands, the smart disc, and again, the rock display stand. So, there you go with that. He doesn't. I think they should have added an alternate head sculpt where he's unmasked. That would have been cool, but he would have probably been priced more, I'm guessing, because he's also 20 bucks and he's slated for this month. So again, you got a couple of weeks. There you go. Okay, that's it. I went over all of the Hiya Toys Predators that are currently on pre-order at the moment. This was a lengthy video, and I'm catching up on old news, folks, as you guys know. So let me know, what are your thoughts on any of these figures, which ones you're going to be picking up, if you already own most of the Lost Tribe, and if you don't, which Older Predator are you going to get? I'm genuinely curious. Are you going to get movie accurate or exaggerated, as I call them? There you go. Please go check out Trophy Room on Facebook, a Facebook group created just for Alien Predator collectors. So if you're like me, you love the comics, the lore, the collectibles, the figures, whatever, that's the place to be, folks. And as always, people, have a good morning, evening, midday, whatever, and take care.